Well, that was the comeback that I've been waiting to see this whole European week. Yes, people, why football here? And after reviewing both Champions League matches on Tuesday and Wednesday and saying how it was so convincing for the home side in Man City beating Bayern Munich so easily and Real Madrid steamrolling Chelsea, I've now seen what I thought would be a similar thing, but Sevilla making the comeback. I've been dying to see this whole week and bringing it all the way back to 2-2 and setting up perfectly for the return fixture in Sevilla. What a game, man. I mean, I'm looking at it thinking that as soon as the game started, I thought, oh, United look good here. They could run away with this. Sancho should have, well, he did score within 30 seconds, correctly ruled out for offside, but that was the warning signs for Sevilla. United were going through him like a hot knife through butter. But you got to stay in the football match. Exactly what the doctor ordered, man. Stay in the football match and beautiful things can happen. Despite the fact they were 2-0 down, despite the fact that they looked second best pretty much the whole game, Sevilla stayed in there. And when they got their chance, they took it and managed to get back into the match. Beautiful stuff for them. And they now return Sevilla with, let's be honest, for 70 minutes of that match, probably an unwarranted draw. But it's still a good result for them heading back to Sevilla. Brilliant result, in fact. When United were 2-0 up, I switched over to Juventus Sporting. Should have stayed where I was. Yeah, man, that's how it is. I stayed watching United Sevilla, and I thought, you know what? The thing with Sevilla is, sometimes I talk about it, I say, Sevilla are not necessarily good this season. In fact, the commentator was saying they're fighting for, basically, to survive in La Liga this season. But certain teams are just good in certain competitions. Real Madrid in the Champions League and Sevilla in the Europa League. Every time they've got to the quarterfinal, they've gone on to win the Europa League. They're that type of team. And today, Sevilla showed that. Because although they were second best for the majority of this fixture, in the key moments, they showed up. And towards the end of the game, they deservedly got something because they were knocking on that door. And look, probably losing by 1 goal would have been a good result for Sevilla heading back to Spain. But now, drawing up and tying up the match heading back to Sevilla, it's a brilliant result for them. Done absolutely brilliantly. Welcoming True Guna, Sevilla, master of Europa League. Exactly, man. Exactly. I really appreciate tuning in. Anyone else, make sure you subscribe to True Guna as well as this channel. He does a lot of Arsenal and football-related content as well. Juventus won 1-0 on the only scoring chance they had in the final 70 minutes. Oh, well, that says a lot, really. Juventus were playing Sporting Lisbon, right? I mean, Sporting Lisbon still give me PTSD after they knocked out Arsenal, to be completely honest. But, yeah, I think Juventus will get past Sporting Lisbon. I believe they're actually on the same side as Manchester United, so they could be on a collision course to face each other in the semi-final, which would be, I mean, that would be a brilliant fixture, Juventus versus Manchester United, should it happen. But United can't get ahead of themselves because today they bottled it. They well and truly bottled it. And Sevilla did what I was begging Chelsea to do really yesterday, and what Bayern Munich should have done, and that is stay in the game. Stay in the game. They stayed there, and they made sure they weren't going to get steamrolled, and they gave themselves an opportunity in that second leg. And look, tying up the fixture 2-2, sorry, leaves it perfectly in the balance, heading back to Spain. I'll be interested to hear who you lot think of the favourites now, because, I mean, on paper, you'd think Sevilla are the favourites, given that they've taken a draw back to their home ground. So their home ground is basically like a one-off fixture at home, but then you can never write off Manchester United. Can never write them off. And a couple of things didn't go their way this fixture. I know that Bruno Fernandes got a yellow card and will actually be missing for the return leg. Lisandro Martinez as well, going off injured. Will he be fit in time for the return leg? Who knows? Marcus Rashford alike. So United got a couple of injury problems floating about, but still, they are Manchester United. And for the majority of this game here, they really did put Sevilla to the sword. They just didn't finish their dinner. I'm looking at Champions League games yesterday, and the teams in front, they finished their dinner, man. They finished their dinner. They well and truly put those teams to the sword. However, today, Manchester United, maybe they showed why they are a Europa League team rather than a Champions League team, although it does sound harsh, because they were not able to put Sevilla away. They were playing with their food. Like, they even had chances. At 2-0 up, Manchester United should have had chances to put that game away, because 2-0 is a very dangerous scoreline in football. Extremely dangerous, because as soon as a team gets 1 goal, they have all the momentum, and they can bring it back. I've seen it happen recently. I saw it happen before when Arsenal played Liverpool at Anfield. Arsenal were 2-0 up, Liverpool got 1 goal back, and then suddenly they made it 2-2 in the final minutes. Same here today, and even in shorter time. Sevilla got 1 back to make it 2-1. Car crash defending, to be completely honest. Malacia does not track the run of Jesus Navas, gets in behind, he then strokes it across goal, and then Malacia passes it into basically his own net, man. And then obviously at that point, they let in another goal. It was another car crash defender as well. En-Nesyri heading it back across goal. And then Maguire just heads it back into his own net. It's terrible defending by all accounts. Absolutely terrible defending. And at that point, you're thinking, like, it just goes to show Manchester United are not at the Champions League level quality, because Champions League level teams that we've seen from Man City and seen from Real Madrid, they end the games. They don't give the other team a sniff Don't give the other team even a hope of getting back into the football match. At 2-0, they should have killed that game, and they had ample opportunity to do so. Sabitzer got 2 goals very early in the football match. There was still the majority of that match left for Manchester United to finish off that game. I know even towards the end, when Palestri squared it in, they could have scored as well, but they spurned that chance. And if you spurn your chances, you're going to concede goals. That's exactly what happened. Sevilla punished Manchester United here, because although they weren't at their best, Sevilla, I think, actually looked second best for a lot of the fixture. They found a way to get back in this football match, and United only got themselves to blame. Erik ten Hag as well, though, interestingly, he made some negative substitutions. Why take off Bruno Fernandes? He's going to miss the next game anyway, so you might as well maximise his performance in this game. Now, he may have been injured or something, so I maybe understand that, but if he's fit, I don't understand taking that off. At 2-0, it's not the time to rest players, especially in a 2-legged fixture. You want to make sure you put that team to the sword, and then in the second leg, you can rotate if the fixture's out of sight by being 3 or 4-0 Manchester United. But the fact it was only 2-0, and then at that point you were trying to change players and rest some players, I think it's a bad look from Erik ten Hag, and he got punished for that. Shaw didn't play today, did he? I wonder if that was a factor. Yeah, he didn't. Malacia played instead. And for that first Sevilla goal, it definitely was a factor, because Malacia completely lost the run of Jesus Navas, who snuck in behind, and then he played it back across goal, and at that point, just literally kicked it into his own net. Basically, it was car crash defending from Malacia, and then De Gea couldn't really do much of the ball ricocheting off Malacia's foot and going off him into the back of the net. And the second goal as well, Harry Maguire. You're looking at 2 players that are not Manchester United starters in Tyrell Malacia, who would normally be displaced by Luke Shaw, and of course Harry Maguire, who'd be displaced by either Rafael Varane or Lisandro Martinez. Both those 2 players cost Manchester United. It just goes to show their squad depth is not quite at the level that is to be expected if you want to go far in multiple competitions. And Sevilla, they're not a joke team, especially in this competition. They're good in Europa League. No matter how bad they're performing in La Liga this season, they are Europa League merchants. This is their competition. You can't take your foot off the gas at any moment. Now, unfortunately, Manchester United did exactly that. They took their foot off the gas. They should have put them to the sword. They didn't, and they've rued their missed chances. So let's see what happens from here, man. Let's see what happens. I do want to talk about Marcel Sabitzer, because I know this game finished 2-2 and it's easy to mask over what happened at the start of the game when Marcel Sabitzer scored a brace, but I still do think we deserve to talk about him, because he's played really well in that first half, scoring 2 tough chances as well. Like, his finishing was really good, both in his left foot as well, and it's a really astute piece of business from Manchester United. Sevilla Champions League of Madrid. Exactly, Luca, that's exactly the point I made. Wherever Real Madrid are in the Champions League, that's Sevilla in Europa League, man. They're just that good. Keep up great content. Your channel growing every day. Appreciate it, Luca, man. Luca's another YouTuber, so make sure you check him out for Arsenal football-related content. Does a lot of football-related content as well. But yeah, Marcel Sabitzer, I do want to talk about him because he's done really well for Manchester United. A really astute piece of business. And I said this. I said, when Manchester United brought in Wout Weghorst and Marcel Sabitzer, they're both on loan. They're both on free transfers, I guess you take it as that. They're only covering the wages. They're not exactly household names, but they're decent piece of signing. My only problem was that you're Manchester United. You are the biggest club in England. You shouldn't be worrying about astute signings for Manchester United. You should be there wanting to sign the best players in world football, because that's what you should be doing as Manchester United. They shouldn't be looking at astute signings, efficient signings. But I can't say Marcel Sabitzer has been exactly that. He's been really good for Manchester United. Scored 2 great goals today as well. I know it's his 3rd goal already for Manchester United. So he's doing really well, man. He's really chipping in with some good stuff, and he's making runs forward. He's really impacting the game from midfield. And if your midfielders are scoring goals, that's a brilliant sign, because Manchester United are more or less getting all their goal contributions from Marcus Rashford. But now Rashford's injured, you're going to need goals from somewhere else. And if Marcel Sabitzer can step up and get goals from midfield, that's a really good sign for them. I have to say, I'm not a fan of Manchester United. Me neither, to be honest. So I would have enjoyed seeing those own goals. Martial's pass in the second goal surprised me. It really did as well. Anthony Martial had a really good game as well up there. I know he's got big boots to fill, replacing Marcus Rashford up front for them and probably trying to get a lot of the goals. But at the same time, he needs to stick to his own game. We know Martial's a good player. The problem with Martial is his injury record. The commentator really annoyed me though, man. Robbie Savage was like, oh, if Martial plays like this, Manchester United won't need a striker. Nope, that's cap. I don't care how well Martial plays. I don't care if he gets 10 goals from now to the end of the season. Manchester United need a striker. And they need a top-level striker as well. On yesterday's stream for Real Madrid versus Chelsea, I spoke about how Chelsea spent so much money but failed to address the striking position. They should be looking at Victor Osimhen and Harry Kane. Manchester United should have that exact same shortlist. Both Chelsea and Manchester United need to be targeting strikers in the summer. I don't care how well Anthony Martial plays, they need a striker, because Weghorst isn't the answer either. Weghorst is a good plan B striker, but they need a top striker in the Manchester United who can get them goals. And someone like Victor Osimhen would be exactly that. Big up 14 people. Yes, Luke, I appreciate that as well. Anyone tuning in, make sure you subscribe when you're on here for football-related content. Okay, evening, everyone. Appreciate you tuning in, Mohammed, as well, into the stream. But yeah, so I do have to say, despite that, Marcel Sabitzer, really good piece of business, really astute signing. I'm not sure whether they will then sign him permanently in the summer, but even if they don't, I understand he was probably a placeholder signing for Christian Eriksen since he was injured. He's been injured since January. He came back, I know, off the bench today, but he hasn't been fit for the majority of the second half of the season, really. So I'm not sure whether they will resign Sabitzer, but I think it'll be a good piece of business, to be completely honest. Manchester United are looking for that number 9, and they're a number 9 away from really challenging for this Premier League. They weren't at the end of the day title challengers. They fell off the pace towards the end, but for a lot of this season, Manchester United were very good. They were very, very good, and they were putting teams to the sword consistently. They need a proper number 9 up there. They genuinely do. And if they get one, look, with Rashford around them, with Bruno Fernandes being a maestro in midfield, with Anthony potentially creating some chances now, he's starting to adapt to the Premier League week on, week out. But I know they've got Casemiro behind them. They've got the building blocks, Manchester United. But as I just said, they need to address that striking position for me, because that's so, so important. You need someone that's going to finish your chances. And it showed it again today, because Manchester United are 2-0 up, cruising. A lot of people are thinking, yep, they've got one foot into the semi-final. You've got to put those teams to the sword. You've got to get that third goal and end it. Because United's defence isn't quite good enough to survive only being 2-0 up. Because as soon as they conceded one, doesn't matter that they're at home, they're prone to concede another one, and they capitulated once they conceded a goal to Sevilla. And at that point, at 2-2, it's anyone's game. I mean, going back to Sevilla, who's your money on? I wouldn't call it. For me, I think Sevilla are going to get through now. Genuinely, I think Sevilla are going to get through. They've been here. They've done it before. They're Europa League merchants. I've got my money on Sevilla now getting through to the semi-final. I genuinely do. It's got to that point. Because and also the momentum as well. You got to think about it like that. This isn't like the last 16 where you have about a month between each fixtures. The next game is in a week's time. They play Sevilla exactly 1 week from today. So momentum is still there. You still remember from what happened last week. And the way Sevilla came back from 2-0 down to score their 2 goals and were pushing for that third goal. And in front of their home crowd as well. I genuinely believe that gives Sevilla now the impetus to go forward and progress from this tie. I'm not sure what's going to happen. And of course, it's Manchester United, which is a massive football club. And on paper, have the better team than Sevilla, who are struggling in La Liga. But it's Europe. Anything can happen. United got to stick to their morals. And the other bad thing for Manchester United is it's gone from bad to worse because the injury problems are piling up as well. Lisandro Martinez coming off the pitch, injured. And that was a bad one. You know it's a bad one when it's a non-contact injury. He didn't go in for a foul with anyone. There was no contact with another player. He just got his foot stuck in the turf and he might have rolled his ankle due to it. Either way, he had to get helped off the pitch. And despite the fact that Manchester United used all their substitutions, he wasn't able to stay on. They fully had to take him off the pitch. And we'll see how long he's out for. It could be an extended period. Rafael Varane as well. He went down injured. He managed to make it to half-time. But at half-time, made the substitution, bringing on Harry Maguire for Rafael Varane. So that's Manchester United's, both their first-choice centre-backs, leaving this game due to injury. Who knows where that takes them. Bruno Fernandes will be missing the next leg due to his suspension. I think it was very harsh, his suspension as well. Because, let's be real, yeah. I know Bruno Fernandes is that type of player that will be cheeky enough to handball it. But the ball's like literally millimetres from him. Like it's literally a yard away from that. He's shot it at power, the Sevilla player. And Bruno Fernandes has thrown his body at it and he's hit his elbow and gone out. It's one of those things, man. He was probably unfortunate to get a yellow card for it. But it is what it is. It is what it is in football. They've got to live without him. Got to live without Marcus Rashford as well. How's life going to be without their star player, Marcus Rashford? Who knows? Either way, Manchester United got all the business to take care of in next week's game in Sevilla. It's going to be a brilliant, brilliant, tasty fixture. Surprise Manchester United let that slip. I am as well, to be fair. I am as well, because the thing with Manchester United is, this season I've actually credited them because they've actually been quite good in terms of managing leads. Away from home against the big six, they've crumbled a lot of times. But they haven't really been in the game from the start. Against Newcastle United, when I reviewed that match, I said that they were never in that game. Newcastle United took them to the cleaners from minute 1 to 90. Same against Manchester City at the Etihad, losing 6-3. They will never seem to be in that match. But at home, even when they've had to ride some tough games, I remember, for example, when Casemiro got sent off against Crystal Palace, they stayed in that game despite the fact that Palace brought it back to 2-1 and managed to escape with a win. United have been good this season at preserving victories, but they really threw it away. They really threw it away big time. Maybe it was the fact that with all the injuries, maybe it is the pile-up of fixtures got to them a bit fatigued. Who knows? But they're going to need to turn it around, because in a flash, they could be out of this Europa League. And they go from having a really good season on Erik ten Hag, winning the Carabao Cup, finishing top 4 in the Premier League, and a lot of people saying favourites for the Europa League, to crashing out that competition. Make no mistake about it, it will still be a brilliant season for Manchester United, winning or not winning the Europa League. But it's a competition that really, they've got no excuse not to go far in. They're safe in the Premier League. They'll make the top four of the Premier League. I'm 100% convinced of that. They've already got the Carabao Cup under their belt. The players are playing on confidence. They're looking good. They've got Casemiro back from suspension. It's on the up for Manchester United. But a few injuries as a result of the fixture pile-up, and it could be going down in a downward spiral for Manchester United, unfortunately. Maguire, 6 months. Martinez 6 months out apparently. Ooh, that would be big hit. Martinez out for 6 months. He's been an unbelievable centre back. I'm going to say this about Lisandro Martinez, because when they signed him, I was one of those people that said, how is he going to compete as a centre back? I thought if you play him in the back five, it'll be alright, because as a back five, he'll be one of 3 centre backs and he will count for his height. But at 5'7", 5'8", 5'9", something like that, can he compete with the top strikers? But boy, does he know how to use his body. I spoke yesterday about how João Felix, being through on goal for Chelsea, not using his body well enough for his size. Lisandro Martinez is a centre-back that uses his body well. He knows he's not the tallest, but he doesn't try to compete for that and try and win every header jumping in the air. He knows when to pick and time his jumps so he can win the header based off when to jump. Not necessarily just out-competing players in the air like that or using his raw height, because he hasn't got any. He isn't blessed in the height department, but he knows how to use his body. That's a big factor. He's been a really good centre-back for them. Honestly, one of the centre-backs of the season. What a signing he's been. So it'll be a big hit for him to be out for 6 months now for Manchester United. Sounds like United have a number of problems for the match next week. Guess I'll lean towards Sevilla. Yeah, myself as well. Let me know anyone else, their predictions for what's happening in the next week's match between Sevilla and Manchester United. Is 2-2 heading into that fixture? My money's on Sevilla now. They've been there, they've done it before. They're Europa League merchants. United got a few players missing. We heard that Martinez is probably going to be out. What's his face? Rashford's out already. Bruno Fernandes has been suspended. We know that Rafael Varane came off injured this match. Everything is leaning towards Sevilla probably getting the edge of Manchester United. And the fact they've got the momentum, bringing this game back from 2-0 to 2-2, heading into the game next week. I think Sevilla have got more likelihood of getting through to the semi-final, which would be a shame for Manchester United, especially given how well they played for the first half of this match. And to be honest, around the 60th minute, still they were in this football match and playing really well. But this ain't football isn't decided in 60 minutes. Football is decided in 90 minutes. And no matter how well you play in the first 70, you got to be at the top of your game, because a little lapse in concentration and teams can take advantage. That's exactly what Sevilla did. So fair play to them for that. Good result for West Ham. What was the West Ham result actually? I wasn't checking in with that match. Let me know what the West Ham score finished as, so I can talk about my feelings regarding that. Obviously they're in the UEFA Conference League, so they're not exactly in the big boy competitions. But it's still a big place for them. I mean, it's still a big competition for them. They're struggling in the Premier League, West Ham. They do need to stay in this Premier League, make no mistake about it. Doesn't matter how well they do in UEFA Europa Conference League. They got to stay in this Premier League. But look, the Europa Conference League gives them an outlet, gives them another competition to play in, especially with how it's been doomsday from West Ham United in the Premier League. Don't have to jump to the highest. Sometimes more important to lean in the other guy so you can't get up either. Yes, exactly. Using your body well. Harry Kane's someone that did that. He used to back into the opponent sometimes. And Lisandro Martinez does that. And his ground duels are really good. He really knows when to time his tackles. Gets really good interceptions and blocks in. He's been a top centre-back. Make no mistake about it. 1 on the way to Ghent. That's a good result. Genuinely, it's a good result. Ghent are on a bad side. In fact, they're one of the better sides. I think they're the Belgium side, no? They're one of the better sides in the Europa Conference League. So to get a 1-1 result away, bringing it back to the London Stadium, I think it's a good result for West Ham. And I think they're going to get through to the next round of the Europa Conference League. I'm convinced they will. 1-1 away is a good result. But yeah, back to Manchester United. I thought certain players actually played alright in this game as well. I think Anthony in that first half was really good. I've really mocked Anthony for how much money they spent on him, and the fact he's not really got much of an end product, to be completely honest. But today, in that first half, he looked really good. And the thing with Anthony is, it's like he's got his own narrative. He's got main character energy. I don't necessarily rate him in terms of his ability sometimes, because I do think for the money they've spent on him, they should be expected a much better footballer. Like, look at Kvara, for example. That's a player with end product, less of the shows and skills. But one thing Anthony does, he does get the fans involved. Even sometimes it's trickery, getting involved in little like mini scraps with Acuna. That was a nice element to the game as well. It gets the fans involved and gives the team another element. So I do really think he played really well in that first half. He fell off the ball a little bit in the second half, and he did eventually get subbed off as well. But he's really starting to come into his own. It's a bit of an adjustment period for Anthony, of course, coming to the Premier League from Eredivisie. It's never going to be easy, and he is still a young player. But with all the money on his shoulders, coming to the biggest club in England in Manchester United, unfortunately, you got to get results quickly. That's the nature of the business. He hasn't quite done enough for me to justify his price tag, but I'm willing to give him time since he is still a young player, and hopefully he's going to get better week in, week out for them. We're going to have to see with that. Belgium side, yes, indeed, as I predicted. West Ham should be favourites. I agree as well. I genuinely agree with that. Caught only the last minute of West Ham, was watching Feyenoord Roma. Commentator said West Ham lucky to get away with a draw. And you know what? You say lucky to get away with a draw, but sometimes that's actually a benefit going to the next game, because if you can, especially in an away game, if you get away with an away game and you get away with one, whether it is winning the game, whether it is drawing, sometimes it's actually a benefit because it galvanizes the squad and go, you know what, we hung in there, we did really well to get a point here. Now we can, well, it's not a point because it obviously is a European fixture, but you know what I mean? Hung in there, got a draw, we can now take it back to our place and win this game. So sometimes it can actually be a benefit getting away with one. Sometimes you'd rather that than come off the pitch and go, oh my days, I can't believe we didn't win that football match. We had so many chances, how do we not win? Sometimes that can actually create like a downbeat and can kill the confidence in the dressing room. Sometimes you do need that gritty performance, that hard-earned draw. Sometimes that can be a benefit. And if West Ham had done that, I give them every chance heading back to the London Stadium next week. Final versus Rome was last year's final. I remember that. It was indeed. That was really good. Beating Sevilla ain't for everyone, lol. Exactly. And I think Manchester United as well, they've done really good against Spanish sides. Really, really good against them. I know Arsenal beat Sevilla 6-0 in a pre-season game, but I'm not going to judge it down to that because it is a Europa League fixture, which is Sevilla's, let's be honest, that's their main thing. Europa League is their competition. So we'll have to see, man. We'll have to see. But I do expect Sevilla now to go through, given that it was 2-2 heading back into the next game. And anyone that's just tuned in as well, check out RD12. He does a lot of football-related content, Arsenal-related content as well. Great YouTuber. Sevilla are the Real Madrid for Europa League. Exactly, Tommy. And Luca made that comment as well earlier as well. Literally, what Real Madrid are in the Champions League, that's Sevilla in the Europa League. No matter how bad they do in La Liga, Sevilla, they'll find a way to perform in the Europa League. That's just them. That's just them in a nutshell. And today, like I said, for a majority of that match, they weren't very good at all. But they didn't do enough, Manchester United, and they didn't do what Man City were doing and what Real Madrid were doing, and that's put the game to bed. You can't give your opponent any sign that you're weak. You can't give your opponent any sign of hope, any sign of life. You got to kill them, especially in two-legged fixtures, especially at home as well. End the game. At 2-0, Manchester United had Sevilla by the throat. They were 2-0 up with only about 30 minutes of the match gone. They had the ample time to put Sevilla to the sword. And at 3-0, the game's over. The game is over, but they didn't do that. They were playing with their food, and they got punished. They got well and truly punished. And it just goes to show that Manchester United aren't quite at the level of Champions League level teams, because we were talking about yesterday on the stream, all the Champions League scorelines finished with the opposition scoring 0 goals, whether it was 1-0, 2-0 or 3-0. Because in the Champions League, those teams don't give the other team a chance. They know when they're there for the taking, and they literally they put them to the sword, they take them to the cleaners. Manchester United today, they had Sevilla for the taking, but they didn't punish them. They didn't do enough to win that football match. And look, they're going to rue their missed chances. The good thing is, because it's a two-legged fixture, they've got a chance to revive it and get their comeback in Sevilla next week. But you have to say, all the momentum is with the Spanish side. And for me, they are favourites now, especially given how many personnel Manchester United are going to be missing for the away leg. I mean, it just goes to show football can change in an instant. Literally in a flash, just like this. You're looking at Manchester United cruising. Then, injury for this player. Bruno Fernandes suspended. And all of a sudden, it starts to unravel bit by bit by bit. 2 own goals. And you're going to Sevilla in a week's time thinking, we've got it all to do. We've got a mountain to climb. That's just how football works sometimes. That Martinez injury isn't looking good, bruv. Exactly, man. Exactly, RD12. When a player gets injured and it's a non-contact injury, you got to hold your breath sometimes because it looks bad. It looks bad. And his foot got stuck in the turf. I saw it. He went to take a touch with his right foot, and his left foot, as he went to release it off the ground, it dug into the turf, and it looks like he's rolled his ankle. And the fact that his Argentinian teammates, actually Sevillan players, had to help him off the field, and the fact he didn't even have the energy or the ability to stay on the pitch, given Manchester United had used all their subs and they had to play the rest of the game with 10 men, it just goes to show how bad it is. Because make no mistake about it, if it wasn't that bad, Sevilla would have, Martinez would have stayed on that pitch. He's a fighter, that kid. Lisandro Martinez is a fighter. But the fact he's had to come off the pitch because of the injury just shows how bad it is. And I wish him the best. I don't wish injury on any player, but he needs to come back as soon as possible, because Varane came off potentially injured as well at the end of the first half. We know he managed to make it to the end of the first half, but who knows if he's going to be fit. Because without their 2 first-choice centre-backs, we're looking at Maguire and Lindelof for Manchester United for the rest of the season. And I'll tell you one thing for free. That's not very good centre-back partnership. It's levels below Rafael Varane and Lisandro Martinez. And United got some big fixtures coming up. They've got Europa League semi-final. They've got Europa League second leg next week. They've of course got the fight for top 4, which isn't quite over. My money is still on Manchester United making the top 4 because they've built up enough of a gap, and I think the teams below them, the Liverpools, the Brightons, the Tottenhams, etc., are not quite consistent enough to make the top 4. But you gotta say, you don't be giving any of those chances even a sniff of your weakness. And having Martinez out and potentially Varane out as well is a big drop off to then the players that come in next. I haven't uploaded the recent, I haven't been great. RKRD12, man, I hope you get better soon, my friend. It's not the end of the world. Take some time off if you're ill. It's one of those things. It happens to all of us. That reminds me of what you said in the sporting game. Exactly. Remind me of what I said to you, man, in the sporting game. But I'm sure I said something. I'm sure I said something great because you said it reminds me of what you said about it. But yeah, you got to kill those teams, man. You got to kill those teams. Would Manchester United rather win the Europa League or the FA Cup if they could only win one? I think they'd rather win the Europa League, to be completely honest. I think Europa League's a bigger competition than the FA Cup. And look, that's just my opinion of it. I know a lot of people would say, oh, the FA Cup it's historic, it's the oldest cup competition, and I agree, but something about the Europa League winning in Europe is another landmark. It's another statement. And it gives them the opportunity, of course, to compete in the Super Cup next season against the Champions League winners. It will give them another route to the Champions League, which I expect them to make regardless of whether it is through Europa League success or through finishing in the top 4 of the Premier League. But genuinely, I think that they'd rather win the Europa League if they had a choice, to be honest, Manchester United. But they're in all the competition, so they can't complain one bit. It's been a really successful season under Erik ten Hag. I'm not a Manchester United fan, but I'm going to say that genuinely, it's on the up for Man United. Who knows what happens with the owners as well? We know that the Glazers made it a third bidding war now. It's made it into a third stage. It's actually ludicrous how they're doing it, man. Absolutely ludicrous. No respect for the club whatsoever. No respect one bit. But who knows what comes of it? Either way, it's been a good season for Erik ten Hag and Manchester United. Definitely miles better than what you would have anticipated after that 4-0 loss to Brentford, because he would have been fearing the worst. He's out for 6 months. I mean, look, it's the match just happened, Luca. We're not too sure. If it is out for 6 months, I wish him the best. I do wish him to get fit because he will miss the start of next season as well. But who knows, man? Who knows? You got to take him for an MRI scan, take him for an X-ray, and go from there. You 23 people, you there, yeah, exactly. 23 people in the live stream. I appreciate everyone tuning in. If you're new around here, subscribe. You know where it is, and hit the bell notification so you never miss a stream. My next stream will be on Saturday. Return to Premier League action. I cannot wait. I've had 3 days now of European action. I reviewed Man City, Bayern. Yesterday I reviewed Real Madrid, Chelsea, and today Manchester United, Sevilla. But we're back on the weekend to Premier League, my favourite competition. And on Sunday it's going to be a double header. West Ham versus Arsenal, and United versus Forest. I cannot wait for it. It's going to be a double header on Sunday. Saturday I'll be reviewing the Manchester City game, so make sure you check in for that. Similar with Arsenal, you have to kill the games off. Exactly what I was saying. And some of these sides are not toothless enough. Arsenal at Anfield should have killed that game off. Made it 3-0. Or make it 3-1 on the counter-attack. Manchester United, they didn't kill this game off. What did Man City do so well? They killed that game. Gave Bayern Munich not even a hope. As long as you give teams even a lifeline, it's not good enough. There's this amazing book called The Art of War by Lao Tzu, old ancient Chinese philosopher. And he said something in there, and he said, if you leave your opponent breathing, you're in trouble. Like if you're gonna go in for the kill them. And that's what United need to do. They need to learn that killer instinct, that winning mentality, and they lacked it. And that's probably why they're a Europa League team. I don't want to be harsh about it, but Manchester United are in the Europa League because they're not a Champions League level team, because a Champions League level team would have put Sevilla to the sword. If Man City played today, the game would have been over. At 2-0, they would have got the third, and it would have been over. And the next game would have been redundant. But United don't quite do that. They give teams an opportunity. Look, I praise them this season for actually managing games quite well. And I thought bringing the likes of Casemiro, Rafael Varane, that extra experience would enable Manchester United to be able to manage games better. But today, they well and truly lost it. As soon as they lost their key players, Erik ten Hag as well has to take a portion of blame for making his subs way too early and for taking off his key players way too early in the match. I think that actually gave Sevilla a bit of an incentive to go forwards and maybe try and get something from the game. And look, at the end of the day, whether it is a manager's fault, whether it's the player's fault, whether it's a combination of both, you got to look at it and go, now Manchester United, they've got an opportunity to turn it around next week, but it's looking a bit poor for them, man. It's looking like a mountain to climb, especially with all the personnel they're going to be missing next week. Hello, I just finished my appointment. Welcome into the chat. Luke, hope your appointment went well and got my cast on. My one bone is healing because I broke 2 of my bones in my arm. Oof. I hope you get better soon from that. What a comeback by Sevilla. What a comeback indeed. And that gives them all the momentum going into the next game. I appreciate you tuning into the stream as always, Luke, and I hope your arm heals soon. Rank the competition in order of greatness: Premier League, Champions League, Europa League, Europa Conference League, FA Cup, League Cup, World Club Cup. Ooh, okay. All right, rank the competition in order of greatness. So I'm going to start at the top. Champions League for me is the greatest. It's your European champions. It's historic. The whole of Europe is watching you do it. Champions League for me, number 1. Number 2, Premier League, just because I think that it's that competition, like it's that good. It's basically the Super Cup. The Super League in terms of domestic leagues. The Premier League is just that good, man. Like the level of managers, level of players in there, unbelievable. Next, I'm gonna go with Europa League. I think that's obviously it's below the Champions League, but I have to say in recent seasons, the quality in Europa League has been really good. Like genuinely top tier. Like I'm seeing teams drop. I think it's because it's the fact that the third place team in the Champions League can drop to Europa League, but we're seeing Juventus in the Europa League. Manchester United have been really good this season in the Europa League. Barcelona were in the Europa League. Genuinely really good teams are in the Europa League this season, and it's been like that for a few seasons now. So it's definitely not a I know it's a BTEC competition to the Champions League, but it's not exactly a competition to turn your nose up by any stretch of imagination at. It's a really good competition. So yeah, for me, Champions League, Premier League, Europa League. Next I'm going to go FA Cup. Next I'm going to go Europa Conference League, then League Cup, and then, well, World Club Cup. I mean, I'm going to put that last because of how it's like the Community Shield in the respect that, you win the Champions League, it's then the winner of the equivalent in the South Americas, the winner of the equivalents in the Asias. Like, it's like a Ballon d'Or. It's like an extra thing you can win for winning stuff already. So I don't really rate that a lot, to be completely honest. But it's a nice thing to have. But the European team wins it pretty much every year. I expect them to do so. United sale process is messed up, agree. The reason I don't like United is I don't like the Glazers based on how they act as NFL team owners. It's crazy to think that the three biggest clubs in England, be it Arsenal third, but Manchester United, Liverpool and Arsenal all have American owners. It's crazy to think, FSG, the Glazers and the Kroenkes. And yes, you're right, they acted out as NFL team owners. And a funny thing happened, right? I believe it was the Washington team in NFL. It was the Washington Redskins. I don't know what their name is, like Washington Commanders or something like that. The Washington team in the NFL got sold for something like 6 billion, or it had an evaluation at 6 billion. Now, not being funny, if the Washington NFL team's worth 6 billion, Manchester United got to be worth a hell of a lot more than that. This is Manchester United talked about. So the Glazers must have been looking at it and going, hang on a minute. If that team's worth 6 billion, the market's gone up. The price of the brick's gone up, people. You're going to be spending more money. It's like when Anthony got signed for 100 million and Shakhtar Donetsk came in and said, hang on a minute, if Grealish is worth 100 and Anthony's worth 80 or 90, we're going to need 100 million for Mudryk as well. When teams start to get evaluated at a certain amount, the whole market adjusts their price to it. And I think the Glazers have done that a little bit. That and the fact they're so greedy, man. They've made a mockery of the whole process. A third stage of bidding, man. Look, the players have come into bid. You know that the Qataris are going to spend a lot of money. They've literally got money for days. Why are you longing out the process, man? Just deal with it in a more astute manner, in a more classy manner. For such a classy, historic club in Manchester United, they don't have classy owners one bit. And I agree with you. I want them out. I'm not even a Manchester United fan, but from a non-biased standpoint, I'd want them out the door. St. Maximin is ruled out for Arsenal. Ooh, that's a big news. The thing with St. Maximin is I love watching St. Maximin play. What a baller he is, man. But he's got no end product. Like, he's got no end product to his game whatsoever. So it actually probably would have been a benefit to have St. Maximin play against us. But I do think he's a really exciting player to watch. Paul Martinez, wish him the best and that he heals fast. Yeah, I agree. I don't wish injury on any players. He had a terrific season for Manchester United. West Ham drew against Gent. Yes, 1-1. It was said earlier in the chat. I believe Tommy brought it into the chat saying that West Ham drew 1-1 away to Ghent. Good result for them. Very good result away from them. They bring it back to London Stadium now in a fresh match. And I expect, because look, West Ham, no matter how bad they've been in the Premier League, they've really actually been quite good in Europa Conference League. So it's like a new competition for them. It's like an outlet. They can play, and they're playing well in that competition. So I wish them the best in that. I remember when these Manchester United fans were laughing when Jesus picked up that 3-month injury. Were they doing so? I would never wish injury on any player. I'm going to be completely honest. I'd wish suspensions. Like, for when Arsenal play Man City, I hope Haaland gets a red card. Make no mistake about it. But I don't wish injury on any player because that's someone's career at the end of the day, man. That's their livelihood. I wouldn't want them to get injured. Any United fans that are laughing about Jesus' injury, let them do that, man. I'm not going to be petty and laugh back that Martinez is injured. I just wish him the best, man. I hope he gets better soon. I think I'd pretty much agree with your order there. Yeah, that's been my order as well. Anyone else in the chat, leave your order for what you believe is the biggest competitions in football. Premier League, Champions League, Europa League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, Europa Conference League, Club World Cup. Yeah, throw that all in there. Mark Goldbridge is pissed. He's like, don't show me Harry Maguire. Don't tell me it's on him. Yeah, I'm not surprised, man. I mean, United fans living with Harry Maguire, it's one of those things where, like, you feel like the club's upgraded, but you still got those players in there, and you're still giving them game time. It's like Rob Holding making a mistake for Arsenal. You're sitting there thinking, we've done so well this season. We're putting all these top players, Saliba, Gabriel, yet we still got to rely on Rob Holding at times, and he's going to cost us. It's one of those things. Did Maguire know an awful lot about that header from En-Nesyri? No. But at the same time, you got to look at it and go, the reason he let that ball into the back of the net is because he went off his man. He allowed En-Nesyri to have a free header, and that header was going miles wide, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, you got to attack the man. You got to pressure him. We know En-Nesyri is a target man. He's good in the air. But Maguire didn't do enough. He stood off. And ironically, he should have engaged the play. And the fact he stood off means that it cannoned off his head, even though the ball was going miles wide and into the back of net. It's one of those things. If you don't defend properly, if your body position isn't well, isn't right, and it'll cost you. And Harry Maguire cost Manchester United for that second goal. But it was coming. It was coming because as soon as Sevilla got that first goal to bring it back to 2-1, they were knocking on the door and they were pushing. They were pushing to get an equaliser. World Cup is really pointless, to be honest. I agree, man. Like, okay, great, you're the best club in the World Cup. You're the best club in the world. let's be completely honest about it. The best team in Europe is the best team in the world. The way they've got the most revenue, the most facilities, they've got the best players playing in Europe right now. It's one of those things, man. Even if a team from the Americas or from Asia or from Australasia, from Oceania wins the Club World Cup, we all know they're not going to be better than Real Madrid, who won the Champions League, or who wins the Champions League this year. Let's be completely honest about it. It's one of those things. It's another revenue stream. I believe they expanded it though. Money. Yeah, there we go. Exactly. Another revenue stream. Exactly what you're saying, Tommy. They want to expand it because they want the money. The only clubs I would like to see be the South American clubs like River Plate and Boca Juniors, Flamengo, etc. They're always fun. They're always fun to watch, the South American teams, because you watch those teams and obviously they don't have an opportunity to prove themselves in like the Champions League or Europa League. So it's kind of like unknown territory. Like, how good really are they? And then you watch and they think, ooh, they got some techie players here. Like, how would they do if they win the Champions League, Europa League, etc.? So it's always fun to watch. And maybe I'll tune in with the final if it's on TV. But more often than not, it's not something I really pay a lot of attention to be completely honest. But yeah, let me know you guys' predictions for next week. Who you believe is going to go through, Sevilla or Manchester United. It is finely poised. Really finely poised. I think it's going to be a game that Manchester United have got the quality to win. And on paper, they are better than Sevilla. But you're looking at the personnel they're missing. You're looking at the way they concede those 2 goals and how all the momentum is with Sevilla. You don't want to count them out going into this game next week because anything can happen. And the fact that Sevilla, every time they've got to the quarterfinals, have won the Europa League, it just kind of all directions and all like the stars are aligning to the fact that Sevilla probably are favourites to go through to the semi-final now. And if they do, you have to say fair play. But at the same time, for Manchester United, they didn't put those teams to the sword, man. They did not put Sevilla to the sword. They had them on the ropes and they didn't punish them. And if you don't kill the teams off, it will bite you in the bum. It will bite you in the bum, and that's exactly what happened to Manchester United. Kill teams off. It's a lesson in football. Don't give the enemy any sign of a revival. Don't revive them just to punch them back down again. Keep them dead. Keep them dead. And Manchester United did not do that, and they paid the price for it. Wouldn't rule United out? Me neither, because United are a brilliant team, and they've been good this season. But equally, I wouldn't rule Sevilla out. So who knows, man? Who knows? I can see extra time or pens. Potentially, it potentially could happen that way. But look, it's one of those things, man. It's one of those things. I'd love it to go to extra time and penalties, to be completely honest. I think it'd be brilliant. But I do think that I think Sevilla got the edge. It's just in my gut. In my gut, Sevilla got the edge. The way, as soon as it went 2-1, is it bad that I knew Sevilla were going to equalise? Like, I knew as soon as it went 2-1, I was like, yeah, Sevilla are going to get another one. I just knew. Like, I just had it feeling in my bones. That's not a good sign. Because when Man City played Sevilla, or when Man City played Bayern Munich, as soon as they went 1-0 up, and as soon as they went 2-0 up, I was like, game over. I was like, game over. That's what I've grown to know for Manchester City. I know that if Man City go 2-0 up, they're going to kill that game off. I know more often than not, if Liverpool go 2-0 up in the Champions League, I know it didn't happen against Real Madrid, so it's a bit of an awkward point now, but certain teams, you just feel that they're going to kill teams off. Same with Real Madrid against Chelsea. When United went 2-0 up, I still thought Sevilla got a chance here. And as soon as it went to 2-1, I was like, Sevilla going to equalise. Sevilla going to, because you just don't feel confident watching Manchester United play football sometimes and preserving leads, which is a shame, but I guess you build that with confidence. You build a reputation over time, and United got a big reputation to build because the team's going to smell weakness now. They are. And I feel for Arsenal a little bit because Arsenal, the fact that they showed weakness against Liverpool, because they haven't showed that weakness all season. Even when they concede goals to teams, Arsenal are notorious at hitting back instantly. It happened twice. Against Crystal Palace, went 3-0 up, conceded a goal to make it 3-1. Ooh, could be nervous. Bang, scored another goal. Make it 4-1, kill the game. Against Leeds United, the same thing happened. Bang, score another goal. 4-1, kill the game. Man City against Southampton, 3-0 up, conceded a goal. Bang, instantly score a penalty through Alvarez. 4-1, kill the game. That's what you need to do, man. If you give the enemy a hope, kill it instantly, because you don't want the crowd involved. Once the crowd are involved, once the players get momentum, then it starts to get nervous, then you're playing the game out of your skin. You're not playing a football game anymore, you're playing an emotional game, and you don't want that. Arsenal on the weekend should have killed that game. They should have made it 3-0 if they had the opportunity to, and kill it, or at 2-1, make it 3-1 and kill it. But they didn't, and they paid the price here, and now teams know that with a little bit of fight, with a little bit of the crowd on your side, with a little bit of a charged game, a little bit of atmosphere to it, Arsenal have the potential to crumble. Don't necessarily think that, because Anfield's just a freak game. I genuinely believe what happened to Arsenal at Anfield on Sunday would have happened to any team in the world. Real Madrid, you name it. Man City, the way it was going, the way the crowd was so involved, the way they were pushing the whole half to get a draw and get at least a draw. I think any team would have crumbled in the situation Arsenal was. But the fact they were 2-0 up and it's a case of what could have been is a bad sign. What final would you like to see? What final would I like to see? In the Champions League, I'd love to see Napoli in the final, and I'd love to see them play. Real Madrid, Napoli in the final. I'd love to see Man City, Napoli in the final, but I don't want Man City to win the Champions League, so I don't want to risk that and Man City win it. But okay, no, genuinely, the final I'd love to see is either Real Madrid, Napoli or Man City, Napoli. But Napoli winning it. I'd love to see Napoli win the Champions League. And in the Europa League, the final I'd love to see is... what would I love to see as a final in Europa League? That's a really good question. Because I need to know who's on whose side as well. I'd love to see Sevilla reach the final again, to be completely honest. I'd love to see Roma potentially reach the final. Who knows if they will. Juventus, Roma could be a good game. Manchester United even in the final would be good. As long as they don't win it, I'd love to see Manchester United in the final. Maybe Manchester United, Roma, like Mourinho making a comeback. That'd be good. Mourinho has a comeback to Manchester United to haunt them. I think that'd be genuinely a really good final. Manchester United, Roma. Let me know your thoughts. Man City are a machine. They genuinely are under Pep Guardiola. They're my pick to win the Champions League. I said that before they even beat Bayern Munich 3-0. I just think they've got that extra thing to them. And they are a machine, Man City. They're so good. Only Real Madrid could win 5-2 at Anfield. Agree 100% with this comment. 1,000% I agree with this comment. Real Madrid the only team that could win at Anfield 5-2. And I even said that. When they went 2-0 up at Anfield, I was watching it with a Liverpool fan, he hit the roof. He hit the roof when it went 2-0. I was like to him, bro, feel free to celebrate, yeah, but make no mistake about it. Like 2-0 against Real Madrid is not safe. Even 3-0 against Real Madrid is not safe. I'd not be surprised if they win this game 5-2. And I said that. Now, me saying I'm not surprised if they win this game 5-2. I said it in a bit of a joking way. I didn't expect it to genuinely happen, but I just had that feeling. And then, obviously, I saw them get one goal back, and I was like, oh, it's dangerous now. At 2-2, I'm thinking, now it's anyone's game. And then 3-2, 4-2, 5-2, and you're seeing all happen in front of your eyes, and you're thinking, that's a top football team, Real Madrid. That's a top-class football team. That's a football team that knows they are the man. That's an alpha male football team in Real Madrid. They know what they're doing, man. Like, they're the mafia boss. That's what Real Madrid are. No team is safe against them. No matter who they've got on that side, they play with presence. They play with ego. They play with a chip on their shoulder. Man, Real Madrid play like Robert De Niro. Like, they play like Robert De Niro in Goodfellas. They play like Al Pacino in Scarface. You know what I mean? They play like the Don. They play like the boss. That's Real Madrid in a nutshell, man. They will get results at any ground. Any ground. They will make any ground their home ground. They'll go Etihad and they'll find a way to win that game. They'll go Emirates and they'll make it. They'll make it the Bernabeu. That's how good of a team they are. 2 down as well. Yes, exactly. Exactly, man. 2 down at Anfield. A lot of people would think that's game over, but they find a way back into that game, man. Unbelievable game. It was, Luke. What an unbelievable game indeed. Manchester United bottled it, man. Bottled it. But even the, I don't know if you're referring to the Man United Sevilla game or even the Real Madrid Liverpool game. Either way, beautiful, man. We've heard all week Arsenal bottled a 2-0 lead at Liverpool. So I disagree with the bottled, but yeah. Who've lost the same amount of games in the Prem as Arsenal. But I'm sure this won't get mentioned because it is Manchester United. Ooh, okay. Arsenal bottled, yeah. I mean, look. Today, I don't think Arsenal bottled 2-0 at Liverpool because I genuinely think, as I said, any team. It looks bad because Arsenal were 2-0 up and they're top of the table, but genuinely, any team, if they went 2-1 down, if they conceded a goal to Liverpool, would have found it tough in that game. Any team. And the fact we were able to hang on until the 87th minute speaks volumes. Speaks volumes about Arsenal's character, to be completely honest. Should have hung on a bit more, yes, but it's one of those things. The pressure was piling on. Salah missed the penalty. Goal line clearances as well. It's one of those things. Ramsdale had an absolutely unbelievable game. I don't necessarily think Arsenal bottled it. I think bottling it would have been losing that game. But still, United today, they did bottle it. They did. They were cruise control. They were at home as well. Against a Sevilla team who was struggling. But they gave the opponent a lifeline. You can never do that in football. Final, first in the Dutch league. Really, really good for them to do that as well. Roma, third in Serie A, was a good match today. Final won 1-0 on the only scoring chance they had. Roma had many chances, including missed penalty. It's one of those things, man. It's one of those things. We're finals at home or at Roma at home? Let me search up. Europa League fixtures. It was finals at home. So, look, if you're away from home and you have a lot of chances you don't win that football match, of course it hurts like a dagger in the heart because you had so many chances to win that game. But Roma are taking it back to their stadium, man. I think they'll be all right. I think Roma will be all right still. Finals are the top side, as you said, first in the Dutch league, but Jose Mourinho is a cup manager. Jose Mourinho is a cup competition manager. He won the Europa League with Manchester United. He knows what he's doing in this competition. He'll find a way to win, I think. And despite the fact, and you said Roma had a lot of chances, they're only 1-0 down heading back to the home leg. I think they'll be all right, Roma. We've heard all week. Okay, that was the same comment. 2 own goals, unbelievable. It is indeed, and I don't know if the first goal was an own goal from Malacia or De Gea. It's gone down as the Malacia own goal. Yeah, probably so. And look, obviously Malacia lost his man in the first place to Jesus Navas, who made a back post run. Like, terrible body position, man. You got to open your body up to be able to see the back post run. Didn't do that one bit. And then from that point on, to then deflect the ball into your own net off De Gea is terrible defending. And you got to look at it and you go, look, You're 2 up, you're cruising. You concede a soft goal in the 84th minute. It's one of those things, man. Just win the game 2-1. But no, you concede the 84th minute and you go and concede again. Soft underbelly. It's soft, man. And you can't have a reputation for being a team that concedes soft goals because teams will take advantage. I know a teams are soft when they concede goals from set pieces and they concede goals back to back. That's when you know a bad football team. When a team concedes goals from set pieces and concedes goals like back to back, when they concede one and concede another one, that's a soft team. And you don't have that mentality and have that reputation of being a soft team. And that's what United portrayed today. That's not good for them. But as I said, despite the fact they threw this away and bottled it, they've got a chance next week to pull it back. It'll be tough going into hostile ground, missing a lot of their key players. Sevilla having all the momentum, having to win in enemy territory. But we know United are capable. They've dealt with tougher teams in Barcelona and Real Sociedad. They're capable of doing such a thing. Real Betis as well. But if they do it, this will be a hell of a test for them. Hell of a test. Yes, it looks like Feyenoord will win the Eredivisie. Big up them for that. The big three in that league make it competitive. It does indeed. And Eredivisie is a good league, man. A very good league. We know obviously that PSV, Ajax are in there floating around as well. Top league. Imagine Mourinho wins the Conference League, Europa League, and Champions League in a row with Roma. That would be interesting. Yeah, because he won the Conference League last season. That would be interesting if that happens. Oh my days. Well, that's the thing with Mourinho, right? He's a cup manager. Certain managers in one-off games, they know what they're doing. Mourinho, over the course of a season, isn't going to be that guy for me. Not anymore, at least, because he does too many, the dark arts. He throws his team players under the bus. People always say this. I read a lot of books, especially regarding human psychology and leadership, and it says things like this. Someone that rules with terror and rules with an iron fist will get results in the short term, but won't actually get results in the long term because the players and your team will learn to actually hate you and resent you over time. Mourinho is that. In one-off games, he will rile those players up and he will get a performance. But over the course of a season, over multiple seasons, you're not going to get output from Mourinho because he does too much of the dark arts. He throws his players under the bus. He gets into too intense training. He singles players out. He's not necessarily a nice guy, but nice guys finish last, they say. So in a one-off game, would I want to face a Roma team? Not by any stretch of imagination. In a Europa League knockout fixture, would I want to face Roma in the semi-final, quarter-final, or the final? Definitely not. Because Mourinho is that type of guy that will study for a week straight how to beat that team and play, whether it is dirty football or beautiful football. He'll find a way to win that fixture. That's Mourinho in a nutshell. Don't you think Erik ten Hag has overplayed his players when they've had multiple games where they could have allowed them to inhale? I think the schedule all of a sudden is starting to catch up towards them. Agree. 100% agree. I made this point. Erik ten Hag makes me laugh. He goes, oh, look how many games we've got. We're playing so many fixtures. Brother, you know how it works, man. If you're in every cup competition, if you're playing in the Premier League, you're going to have a lot of fixtures. That's why you have a squad. You can't play your same 11 players every week and expect them not to get injured. Like, come on, bro. We can't make the season end in July because Manchester United, you're playing FA Cup this weekend. You're playing Europa League in midweek. Let's postpone your Premier League game and play that game in June. It don't work like that, man. That's football. Like, you've got a lot of games. Deal with it. That's why you've got a squad. Rotate it. It's not my fault you don't rotate Bruno Fernandes. It's not my fault you don't rotate Marcus Rashford. And look what happens. Injuries are a matter of the max. A matter of the fact. A matter of the max. A matter of the fact. It's one of those things, man. If you play a lot of games, you play the same team, that's what happens. You got to deal with it. Bite that bullet, man. And carry on. It's one of those things. When Sporting beat Arsenal, where you're like, let's win the league now, were you very disappointed? In the moment, I was disappointed. Very disappointed. I remember I streamed after it as well. It was actually one of my first streams I was doing. I used to just do videos, not live streams. And I was like, I'm disappointed because I wanted Arsenal to go far. But after Arsenal got knocked out to Sporting, I was like, look, it is what it is. I take the positives and I say, it's one of those things. It's one of those things, man. We've got no excuse not to win the league. We're playing every week. We haven't got any other fixtures to worry about. It is a league or bust. It is Premier League match, rest, train, Premier League match. Rest, train, Premier League match. That is Arsenal's schedule. No distractions, nothing. Premier League or bust. And if we don't win the league, we can't say that we didn't have as good an opportunity to. We got knocked out the Carabao Cup instantly. Got knocked out the FA Cup in the 4th round. Got knocked out the Europa League as soon as we reached the knockout stage. Basically, we had every opportunity to win the Premier League now. No other competitions to worry about. That is it. Who knows if we do it? I hope we do so. But anything can happen in football, man. Anything can happen and Man City look good. Funny how Erik ten Hag complained about playing on early Saturday game. I was playing a late Sunday game. They are a week apart. Exactly. And look, they played the early kickoff against Everton. They've had the longest possible rest to this Thursday game. And they still got injuries. Like, managers make me laugh sometimes about like, oh, we're playing 12:30 on this day rather than a 3 p.m. match. Bro, it's 2.5 hours difference. If you play 12:30 on a Saturday or 3 p.m. or even 5:30 on a Saturday, what is the difference? Like 2.5 hours? Like, is that really going to make a difference on the players? Let's be real about it. Let's be genuinely honest about it. I know that marginal dip can make a difference, but sitting there and complaining isn't actually a good thing. Because if you sit there and you complain, your players hear that and they go, oh, the manager's just complain about the fixture schedule. That gives us an excuse. Maybe it is bad. If I was a manager, I'd be a no excuses manager. You're playing 12:30 Saturday, fine, bring it on. You're playing then on a Tuesday, bring it on. Saturday early kickoff again, bring it on. No excuses. You play to the best of your ability. Whether you play 12:30 on a Saturday or 4:30 on a Sunday or 8 p.m. on a Monday, you play the same way. Don't worry about when the fixtures are laid out. Your job is win on that football pitch. I feel like managers that create excuses and give their players a narrative to make an excuse actually are quite detrimental to the players. You should never ever show any sign of excuse in front of players. You deal with it, man. You make no excuse and you play the best of your ability. That's how I would deal with it if I'm a manager. If any manager that does that, look, it just gives their players an excuse to say, oh, the fixture schedule, oh, it's really tough on us. No, it's not. You're being paid to play the beautiful game. Every one of us will be dying to be paid to play football, and the money you're getting as well. Deal with it, man. If you play 12:30 on a Saturday or 4:30 on a Sunday, deal with it. Your job is to get results on the football pitch. That's how I look at it. It's definitely our fault that Man United have had loads of injuries. Yeah, that's another thing about Erik ten Hag, man. I feel like a lot of managers this season, and not just Erik ten Hag, because I've actually got a lot of respect for him generally, but I didn't respect that how he singled out Arteta. And I feel like a lot of managers have done that as well this season. They've really gone at Arsenal and Arteta. Arteta's kept his mouth shut. He's not once said any bad word about any other managers. If I'm a manager, right, I don't only talk about my team. And if they ask me a question saying, oh, what do you think about the opposition? Just PR answers. Yeah, I think they're playing really well. I like what the manager's doing. I wish him the best. That's it. Not this, oh, look at Arsenal, they've had no injuries. Yes, we have had injuries, my friend. Jesus has been out for 3 months. Thomas Partey's missed a lot of games. Zinchenko as well. Saliba's missed the last 3 matches. Miss me if Arsenal haven't had any injuries. If anything, look at our physio team and how well they're doing. That's what we've got to look at it. And another thing is, I've spoken about this before. Psychologically, when a team's in a title race, when a team's playing well, players are less likely to get injured. I genuinely think that's a thing because they're so desperate to be on that football pitch. They're making sure they're working so hard to get back on the pitch as soon as possible. Look at Luis Diaz. Look at Luis Diaz. Look at other players. Look at Kante. Kante had a hamstring injury and he just came back last week. What hamstring injury keeps you out for 4 months? I've never heard of it. A hamstring injury keeps you out for a month max. Kante's sitting there thinking, I know he loves football, but he's like, look how bad Chelsea are. All the players are getting ridiculed. The media's on our ass. The fans are on our ass. I don't want to be back in the team. Let me take some time off and get back from injury. Potter was like, oh, Kante back yet? Oh, my leg still hurts. Another week, gaffer. And then Tuchel, obviously he was injured under Tuchel. How bad they're playing as well. You don't want to be back in the team any moment now. Luis Diaz the same thing. Look how bad Liverpool playing. He's in there thinking, Jurgen, another month, another couple of weeks. My leg's still hurting. I'm going to miss training today. You think Jesus was doing that? Jesus was dying to be back on that football pitch. He's like, Arteta, let me play. Arteta was like, no, we need to manage your injury. That's how the top players play, man. That is how they play. They don't sit there worrying about, oh, I'm injured now. Oh, it's one of those things. I get back when I get back. No, when you're in a title race, when you're playing for Arsenal and results are being so well and the fans are loving you and the media's loving you, you're dying to get back on that football pitch. Other teams, other players, N'Golo Kante, Luis Diaz, when their teams are struggling, they take a little bit extra time off. I genuinely believe that. Look, correlation does not imply causation, but at some point you got to look at it and go, like, it seems to be that way. Like, is it a case of a coincidence? Or is it genuinely a case where a team plays well, the players actually have less injuries? Or is it a case when teams are playing bad, they seem to have more injuries? Who knows? Clutching at straws, Ten Hag, he is indeed clutching at straws. The weather is the funniest excuse I've ever heard. Bro, the weather excuse is the oldest trick in the book. Oh, it's raining. Oh, the lines on the pitch weren't clear enough. Come on, man. It's raining for both teams. It's one of those things. Man City did okay with the rain against Bayern. Exactly. And it was chucking it down rain. I'm in Manchester right now and I can see outside it's chucking it down with rain. Conte did the same thing calling out Arteta. He did, man. All the managers do it. When they see a team doing well, they want to rain on their shine, especially the fact that with Man City, right? And they're obviously like, oh, they can just go the money thing. They're like, they spend a lot of money. We don't have the money Man City have. We can't win the league. We don't have the finances available. Jurgen Klopp said the same thing. We don't have the finances that Man City or Newcastle have available. Then they look at Arsenal and it really like annoys them because then they can't run that excuse. You can't run the excuse about no money because what has Arteta done? Arteta obviously has spent money, make no mistake about it, but he's not spent the same amount that Man City has spent over years. He's not signed the top players that Man City potentially have signed or Chelsea are signing. So where's your excuse now? It's like you've seen someone from your school go on to do amazing things. You're like, ooh, oh, like why isn't that me? Like that should have been me. That's what I think some of these managers are thinking now. They've seen Arteta do so well and actually coach a team, not just spend money, coach and nurture a team. And they're thinking, well, where's my excuse now? I've seen Arteta do it. I need to kind of match that. Hey, and their only excuse now is to just call out Arteta without all these things. Focus on your own team, man. Focus on your own process. Do you think managers should be guaranteed a certain amount of time on matches? I think it's a concept, but nah, I don't think so. I think there's a courtesy sometimes that you can say, okay, we'll give you at least 10, 12 games because let you implement your style. But I think Frank de Boer was sacked after like 5 games at Crystal Palace. So it just goes to show a team can pull the trigger quickly. I just think it's fine as it is, man. It's fine as it is. Brighton is a team that's got schedule crunch coming. Still in the FA Cup and have 2 games to be rescheduled still. And they don't have a big squad. Yes, indeed. Indeed. Brighton, though, do I see them complaining? No, they're just happy to be there. They're just delighted. They're like, oh my God, we have FA Cup semi-final. Brilliant, man. Brilliant. I don't care if you put us on a Friday or Sunday. I want to be in that FA Cup final. They're just delighted to be, FA Cup semi-final. They're just delighted to be there. And that's how it should be. I have the ultimate respect for Brighton. The ultimate respect indeed. What a well-run football club. They scout brilliant players. They sign players from leagues that no one's heard of. Mitoma, Caicedo, Alexis McAllister. And they turn them into world beaters. Ultimate respect for Brighton. Genuinely, I wish them all the best. One of my favourite teams in the Premier League. Brighton should just focus solely on the FA Cup now. They'll be in Europe, but not Champions League. I mean, if they bring a trophy, De Zerbi brings a trophy to Brighton, that'd be unbelievable, man. And kudos, I give them the ultimate respect. I'd love for them to win the FA Cup. Out of all the teams in there, it's Sheffield United, Man City playing each other, and Man United, Brighton. I'd love if Brighton reached the final. I'd absolutely love it. And I'd love if they win the FA Cup. It'd be a brilliant story for them. And what a well-run football club as well. Unbelievable. I love them to bits. But yeah, I'm going to wrap up this stream now because it's reached 56 minutes. It's gone on for quite a while. I do have to say that Manchester United today, they did fold a little bit. And they're missing a lot of players. And it could have repercussions. It's not just losing the game. It's going on from that. It's going on from... they drew the game, not losing it. But it's not just losing 2 goals and drawing. It's the repercussions of the momentum that Sevilla have. The fact that you've thrown away a lead, how will that lead you into your next game against Forest in the Premier League? Who knows, man? Who knows? With all the injuries we've had during the season, the amount of worries we've had about our current squad depth, it's also the impact of some of the fringe players who've stepped up when called. Hey, that's football, man. That is genuinely football. That's a brilliant point, RD12, because a lot of people say this as well. When you go on to win a league title, right, or go on to do amazing things for a football club, sometimes the players that you least expect to turn up. Reece Nelson scoring a last-minute goal for Arsenal against Bournemouth. Who would have thought that? If I interviewed any Arsenal fan going to that game, or Arsenal scored a last-minute winner here against Bournemouth, who do you think scores that goal? Who do you think people are going to say? Oh, Saka. Maybe Nketiah if he was playing. Oh, maybe Martinelli. No one in their wildest dreams is going to say, oh, Reece Nelson. If they are, they're probably drunk. Or they're saying it as a joke. It's one of those things. Sometimes you need those fringe players to step up and be counted. That's football. And on the way to title running, you're not always going to have the top players turning up. Sometimes you need that player. You need that off-the-bench spark to give you a lift. That's how it is sometimes. I think they can beat United. Genuinely, I think Brighton can beat United as well. With all the injuries United have got. And Brighton do well against the Big Six. Brighton, I have ultimate respect because, as I said, I love the way they run, I love the players they're brought in, etc. But I love the way they play football as well. Brighton are a top-level football team. When they played Spurs on the weekend, yeah, they passed Tottenham out the park. I know they didn't win that football match. In fact, they were very unlucky to lose it. A lot of bad refereeing decisions. But in terms of quality of football being played, it was so good from Brighton. They, between the boxes, they were brilliant. Brilliant. Taking Spurs to cleaners. Unbelievable, man. So good. And I wish them all the best in that FA Cup final, FA Cup semi-final. I believe it's on the 23rd of April. It'll be my birthday, so I hope I have an opportunity to watch it. I'll probably have to do something with the family, but I really want to watch that game if it's on the 23rd of April. True about Brighton, I back Newcastle, and I'm only interested in when the rescheduled Brighton-Newcastle match will be. Brighton, Man City is also being rescheduled as well, which I think will be a top game. They're one of my hopes, fingers crossed, that Brighton gets something against Man City to help Arsenal on their way to win the Premier League, man. I have a lot of faith in Brighton, their top team. And Brighton Newcastle will be a brilliant match to watch as well. I'm interested to see Newcastle's approach to that. Because I know Newcastle play both facets of their game. I've spoken about this, how Newcastle, some games, they will play really front foot, attacking football like they did against Manchester United. But equally, in other games like they did against Arsenal, for example, sit back and soak up pressure. So I'd really be interested how they approach the game against Brighton, whether they do try and go on the front foot and make it a footballing fixture, or sit back and try and hit Brighton on the counter-attack, because it's quite evenly contested side, to be completely honest. Love your streams. Thanks so much. I appreciate you all tuning in, Jeff. I appreciate you tuning in. Anyone else? Tommy as well. RD12. See you one that tunes in a lot. Luke as well. Appreciate anyone that tunes into the live streams, man. Anyone that's in here, make sure you subscribe as well. Love hearing you lot talk about football. That's what I love doing, talking about football with you lot, providing your opinions as well. I love to hear it.
Second that. Yeah, appreciate that, Tommy, as well. Of course, my next stream will be on the weekend, 5:30 p.m. It will be Man City versus Leicester City. I expect 3 points, but who knows? New manager bounce for Leicester City with Dean Smith. Who knows, man? I wish him the absolute best. But look, I think we're all expecting Man City to walk over Leicester City on the weekend. I might do a stream for the 12:30 game, which I believe is Aston Villa Newcastle. I may. I'll see how it's going. But definitely will be a 7:30 p.m. stream for Man City versus Leicester City. Watch out for that. Make sure you hit the bell notification, subscribe if you're new around here. I'm getting subscribers pretty much every day, man. The support's been brilliant recently. On my way to 2,000 subscribers, bit by bit, and I appreciate everyone that tunes in. But yeah, to wrap up this stream, because it's been an hour long now, Manchester United did draw Sevilla, 2-2. 2-0 up courtesy of a brace from Marcel Sabitzer and cruising. But they let their foot off the gas, and look what happened, man. Sevilla got back in the game, and now going back to Sevilla next week is all to play for. Let's see if United turn it around. I'm really interested to see how that goes. But you got to say they've got a mountain to climb over there. Let's start preparing for the Championship. They're like Valencia this season. They are stinking it out, but who knows, man? Football's a crazy, crazy game. Bear in mind, Everton got a point at Man City. Everton got a point at Man City with Frank Lampard. I have to specify that. It wasn't with Sean Dyche. It was with Frank Lampard. They got a point at Man City. Stranger things have happened. They've got a new manager bounce. Maybe I'm clutching at straws. Maybe I'm such an optimistic thinker. But who knows, man? Sky Sports, 5:30 p.m. kickoff. It's primed. Leicester City haven't won in a couple weeks now. Lost in an embarrassing fashion to Bournemouth last week at home. Maybe when you're so far in the bin, a performance can come out of nowhere. Who knows, man? Hollywood, write your script about it. But as always, I appreciate everyone tuning in. My next stream, as I said, will be on 7:30 p.m. on Saturday in a couple days from now for back to Premier League action. Man City versus Leicester. I cannot wait. European football's been brilliant, but Premier League's my bread and butter. I love to watch it. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Make sure you like down below. If you're new around here, make sure you subscribe on my road to 2,000 subscribers. I appreciate everyone tuning in. I've been Wifey and hope to see you all in my next stream. Take care.